know. I know. I know. I know. I know.
Unsurprisingly, there's plenty of seats down front here, so if you don't have one yet, you're more than welcome. I understand traffic was an issue. I feel like we've seen that movie before. A little audience participation to start with. Raise your hand if you can think of at least one place you'd rather be right now. Okay. That wasn't everybody. Raise your hand if you can think of at least 5 places you'd rather be right now. A dozen? Anybody? For how many of you does it include sleeping someplace? Yeah. All right, one more. Raise your hand if this is exactly where you want to be right now. Ooh. Welcome back. I have every ounce of empathy I can possibly have for the fact that it's now 8:15 on the first day after spring break. I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate that you made whatever effort it made and you bore with the traffic. I promise that I will try to make this not too painful, but hopefully that this day can be a little informative and then for the most part just a relaxed, soft launch back into the last stretch here. If you saw that first slide, 35 days. I don't know if you're counting, but we got 35 left. Yeah. Maybe we should just stop there, right? 35 days left. I want to do a couple of things this morning. I promise I won't talk at you for a really long time, but I want to talk through 2 things since we don't get to all be together very often like this, okay? I want to talk through resources as a safety net really quickly, and then I want to talk through the Illinois literacy components. And I know that sounds edge of your seat, so buckle up. When I think of resources and when I think of a safety net, I think of a tightrope walker. And maybe that's just me, whatever. But I think of somebody walking a tightrope, and then the safety net is there in case you fall. And I want to try and play with this analogy for just a second, because I want you to feel like resources can be that safety net, as opposed to whatever else they turn into sometimes. But what I did was I went to everybody's favorite place right now, ChatGPT, and I asked it, can you create an image that depicts a teacher walking a tightrope with a safety net below? I want the safety net to be the word resources, okay? And I got that. And you can't spell the word resources. You see that, right? That jumps out. So AI is here to save us, don't worry. And then, I don't know, I'll zoom in here just a little bit. Anybody today? Anybody? I know it's, and then, I mean, probably the most scary is, I don't know what she's about to do with that. That poor kid. Okay, so I'll say that was a good start, but that was a bit of a fail. So I asked it to change the teacher. Can you make the teacher a little bit bigger? And can you just make it a little more real, right? And can you spell the word resources correctly? So we got the word resources. And now that looks a little kind of epic, right? Like giant canyon. And then it did that. So we have that guy who's out looking to stab somebody, I think. I don't know what the little one is. And then it did spell the word resources. I asked it to make it a little more primary, elementary, and I got that. So, still can't spell the word primary. So now I'm just having fun with this, right? And so I tried one more thing, and it told me I reached my image creation limit. So, perfect. Thanks, AI. We're good. So then I went to Gemini, and I tried, and now we're getting a little closer. She's got a little like cartoon villainy vibe to me, but that's okay. We're getting closer. And then that one, I think that one terrified me the most, because I think it's the most unrealistic, because those 4 kids are sitting at their desks with their hands folded, obviously plotting something devious. Obviously, they know something the teacher doesn't know. If this is nothing more than just playful, that's fine. But I really did want to draw out the idea that the resource should be the safety net. As we continue to talk about resources, as we continue to update them, as we continue to have new ones, you can do better. Like, I'm always going to bet on the teacher, always going to bet on the teacher, and I want to keep the resources in place. I want them to be in their place. I want them to be as useful as possible to you. I want them to be efficient. I want them to be time-saving for you. I want them to do some of that work of scope, sequence, planning for you. But I also want you to always, always, always feel like you can do better and that you have the permission to do differently, that you're not tied to the resource as the only and ever way to do things, okay? So if the safety net helps, that's fine. If you have a different image or a different analogy that works better for you, that's fine too. But as we continue to work through resource adoption, bringing in new ideas, I will always, always bet on you, the teacher. If you know your students, if you know what the content is, and if you feel good about it, you can always, always move beyond that resource, okay? That little image of the apples up there is straight from, oh man, I did this a while ago. It's 2nd grade lesson 2-3 in Envision. It's arrays. It is. I cut it straight from the resource. It's arrays. It was just the first example that came to my mind. Teaching arrays to a 2nd grader. I guarantee you none of our 2nd graders have ever lined up apples in a row 2x4. They haven't. That's a perfectly acceptable way to teach an array 2x4. But I guarantee 2nd graders don't line up apples and put them in an array. They sit at desks that are maybe arranged in an array. They walk through the hallways with tile that are arranged in arrays in whatever size you want them to be, right? They spend all of 1st grade doing tens frames, which is an array too, right? Point being there, if you want to teach arrays using the apples from the book, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It does the job. But if you can bring it to them, and you have the time and the energy and the effort and the capacity to do that, and you feel good about it, do it. And again, I want you to hear it from me, and I'll keep saying it, but as often as I can, you are always going to be the bet, more than the resource, okay? And just, if you don't feel confident in the content, if you don't have the time, if you don't have the capacity today, use the resource. Totally fine, okay? All right, enough said on that. Literacy components. This is really going to get exciting here. 7 literacy components. They are coming from the Illinois Literacy Plan. They are not new terms. They are not new to us. We have covered these things for ever and ever. I don't present them as new information, but I do present them as the language that is being used around literacy instruction, particularly in our state, but really not limited to our state, okay? Historically, we have treated them like that in this district. Some verbiage to oversee phonemic awareness, word recognition. For the most part, we've talked about fluency and comprehension. And then writing kind of sits in the corner there as a weird cousin we don't really quite know what to do with up there, okay? But we have talked primarily about fluency and comprehension, and we primarily dealt with all of them K-5, with not a lot of system to where they belong in terms of development, okay? We've also delivered instruction through guided reading and shared reading. And I'll say this a couple times, I think. I don't hate guided reading, I don't hate shared reading. I'm not trying to banish them, okay? But what we have done historically is we have taught guided reading as a subject content. It turned into a subject content. I am teaching guided reading. Instead of, I am teaching literacy, I am teaching this component of literacy through guided reading, okay? That's nuanced and it's a little particular, but those became subject areas, guided reading, shared reading, okay? And again, we had the weird cousin sitting in the corner that we didn't quite know what to do with, okay? So here's what I want to do, and again, I promise, I'll try not to belabor this. Really, all the way, K2, really we should be dealing with all of those, okay? They're not strictly linear, but you can see the kind of development. Oracy, oral language, it starts there. Writing is certainly the most difficult thing for our students to do, literacy-wise. Really, if we're doing it well by the end of second grade, we're for the most part through those first three, and we're dealing just with fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, and writing, third through fifth, okay? If everything, all systems are working, that's how it should break down developmentally, okay? As far as our resources, the foundations, K2 stops at fluency, touches on vocabulary a little bit. Magnetic reading doesn't have anything to do specifically or systematically with anything of the first four. Magnetic reading 3-5 really picks it up at vocabulary. And of course that leaves the two giant holes in our system right now, okay? Whatever resources fill those holes, that becomes the program of work for next year. Those will be hopefully coming down the pike here soon. But you felt it, those are the holes, right? Those two and assessments. We need to reckon with assessments still too. So those are the two things that we definitely need to keep working on, okay? Again, I just kind of want you to see how these pieces fit together. This provides the reason for why we needed to move to terms like literacy block and differentiated literacy groups. Again, it's not because I hate guided reading, it's not because leveled reading is a wrong thing to do, but it's because we need to be able to account for every aspect of those literacy components, all 7 of them, at any given point during the day, okay? And or you might have literacy block time that reckons with phonemic awareness and word recognition. That needs to be okay. You might have differentiated literacy groups that deal with the same thing. Maybe it's a vocabulary lesson today. It doesn't have to be just leveled reading. It needs to be, you need to be able to have the fluidity and the flexibility to deal with whatever the students need, whatever the lesson for the day is, and not feel like it's shared reading. So I have to sit on the carpet and we have to deal with the comprehension skill. That's only one of the components, okay? I really want to ask if there are questions on that. I know there are. I know I'm talking fast. I won't, but this is the conversation that I want to keep having, okay? Okay, one more piece to it. Here are, on the left, structured literacy, balanced literacy. So we've lived in a balanced literacy world for the last almost 20 years, and we're moving more structured. We are not moving only and ever to a structured, and we are not hating and diminishing balanced literacy. We are just moving to a world in which both exist, and we need both, okay? But we have, and these are our 2 core products in the middle, Magnetic Foundations and Magnetic Reading 3-5, and then our 5 most common interventions. Take Flight and U-Fly are structured interventions. Comprehension Focus Group, Guided Reading Plus, Reading Recovery come under the umbrella of balanced literacy, okay? Here's what I want to make sure that you've seen. The K2 Foundations program and U-Fly have the exact same scope and sequence. They're not the same resource, it's not all the same language. I know there's different in depth. But if a student has gone through K2 Magnetic Foundations and then moves to a U-Fly, they are essentially experiencing the same content in the same order, the same scope, okay? It doesn't mean a student can't ever do that. There's appropriate reasons for students to be retaught essentially the same thing. But if the student needs something different, you might consider a different intervention. Similarly, the 3-5 magnetic deals with, if you remember the components, it deals with comprehension, it deals with writing, and it deals with vocabulary. That's what CFG is going to do too. So the magnetic reading 3-5 is not going to deal with those early literacy components on the left side of that scale. Again, it doesn't mean that a student in 3-5 should never be in CFG. There's plenty of good reasons for that. But I want us to start to be able to think about the needs of the student and how they fit into those different instructional modalities or those resources, okay? And then this is what I want to push you on a little bit. If you have a student who's being more or less successful, whether they're behind, need extra practice, but they are essentially learning what you're teaching, it might be in fact that guided reading plus is the more appropriate intervention. And I'm not selling it, and I don't get a commission, and I'm not trying to talk you into it, okay? I want you to be able to make that decision for your students in the moment. But if you have a student, K2, who's in Magnetic Reading Foundations core instruction, and you're moving them to UFly, again, you're essentially repeating the same instruction. Maybe that's beneficial, but maybe they need it presented a different way, okay? The system of iReady Magnetic Foundations is the same as the system of UFly. And then conversely, 3.5, if you've got students who are more or less keeping up, but there are gaps in their instruction, maybe you need something that's more systematic, okay? Maybe they have holes in their understanding. I'm not selling it, I'm not trying to talk you into it, but this is different. It used to be, it's intervention time. Let's walk to Guided Reading Plus. It's Guided Reading Plus time, okay? And we haven't had these conversations, and we haven't made these decisions or had these conversations yet. So this is why I want to push you on it and bring it to your attention this way. Okay, I covered safety net. If you don't like that analogy, I would willingly accept any images that are appropriate, please. But if you have a better one, send them my way, okay? And I covered the literacy components, how they align here. If this is Nerd City for you, it's fine, I'll own it. It's Nerd City for me. It's my jam though. But also, I want to be transparent about what we have. I want to make sure we're transparent about what we don't have. And I want to keep talking about how those pieces fit together, okay? So I will keep having this conversation. If this is a conversation you want to keep having, or your team wants to keep having, or your staff wants to keep having, we need to. Because we need to be able to talk about students and what they need, and the student discrepancies or the student, wherever the gaps in their learning are. We can't just talk about programs. We have to understand what the programs provide, the support that they provide, so that we can talk about students and the needs that students have, okay? That's my big, big objective here, okay? Nerd City. Okay. We're doing okay for time. These folks got honored last week, 2 weeks ago. They have taught between 25 and holy cow, Janet, you've taught 35 years. That is amazing. We don't get to be together like this, but I thought it was worth it. And then here's a list of folks we're all just jealous of. I want to ask them to stand up, but honestly, I'm guessing most of them aren't here. It's one of those unwritten 202 traditions, right? It's probably not even limited to 202. It's your last year. Skip all the institute days. It doesn't matter. So if you are here, congratulations. We are envious for sure and appreciate the contributions for years and years. Okay, here's what I want. I want you to enjoy your day. We have one session that will start here in a few minutes. You'll have plenty of time to transition. And then we do come back to this room. We have Willie Spears coming. He is exciting and excitable, and I hope that he helps you feel appreciated about what you do. That is really kind of the big objective. So you are going to session 1. You got plenty of time to transition, and then we will all be back here 10:15. High schoolers get 6 minutes to move through the hallways here. Does anybody know that off the top of their head? 5? Okay. I gave you 25 minutes to get here. So that was by design, not because I didn't think we could do it, but I love the in-between times and love that for you, for us. But I do appreciate you getting back here so we can get started. You might have met Willie Spears on the way in here, but we are about to get the Willie Spears experience. I'm going to read a couple of things about him. He comes from Panama City, Florida. Anybody else come from Panama City, Florida yesterday? He is an author, a speaker, an educator, 20 years in education as an administrator, a teacher, and a coach, and he's written 19 books. Many awards that he has won. Graduated from Northwestern Oklahoma State University. That sounds made up. Northwestern Oklahoma State University.
The whole bio made up.
That's a real thing. Okay, all right. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Communications, and then from Troy University, a master's in education. He, for the most part, travels the country now, delivering presentations 20 a week, or 20 a month in most places. He's spoken to Fortune 500 companies like Chick-fil-A, State Farm, McDonald's, as well as major college football programs like the University of Kentucky, University of Oklahoma, Clemson, Florida State University. There's a sports joke in there too. I'll probably let that one go. We got a chance to meet Willie just a couple of weeks ago. His message is positive. His message is, I certainly hope, encouraging. The whole point here is for you all to feel, to be appreciated and to feel appreciated, and I hope he can help drive that home. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring Willie Spears up.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you so much, Casey. If you've been in education for 10 years or less, please raise your hand. Let's give these folks a hand. Give them a big hand. Let's not tell them everything. We want them to keep coming back. If you've been in education for 10 to 20 years, please raise your hand. Let's give these folks a hand. Awesome. The folks that just raised their hand are still here because Dollar Tree has not called back yet. If you've been in education for over 20 years, would you please stand? Would you please stand? Let's give these folks a big hand. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about. You may be seated. Wow. If you've been in education that long, you realize you're called to this profession. You're either called or you crazy. I'm gonna go with crazy. Like if you would have committed a crime, you would have gotten out by now. That's a long time. And you look so smart coming in. I never would have thought that you would make that mistake. No, I'm just kidding. Education is the greatest profession we can ever go into. It really is. What I've learned is we need to appreciate teachers for the small things. Like the fact that many of you came back after spring break. Some of you looked at your sick days and said, I could probably do another week. I could probably get away 2 sick days, too personal right here. And I have been coughing. I'm not lying. Yep, I have a cough, right? 2 of you I noticed from Panama City, like when you look all professional walking in, but when I saw you, you were like this. I just followed you up here to Plainfield. Yeah, I got you now. Some of you, you're lucky that there was no Facebook or Instagram when you were in college. I met the HR director this morning. You would be unemployed. If those memories popped up, you would really be at the Dollar Tree. So you young folks don't understand. You Gen Z, see, in elementary school, we have a lot of little cute girls. Hey, they don't have to have no, they're clueless. Hi, good morning, how you doing? You walking by like, yeah, wait a couple more years. Yeah. You thought it was me that I choked that kid. Just wait, you're gonna choke one too, right? But they're so sweet. But they don't understand when you lived in a world where you could only take 2 or 3 pictures because your film were in the camera. Like they can say, take it again, take it again, take it again. Take it again, 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 take it again. Let me look at him, let me look at him. I don't like those, delete those, let's delete those. You can do that. They would say, on the count of 3, we would let you know. People always ask, when am I going to use this? Well, when you take pictures, you got to know how to count. And we teach you that in elementary school. On the count of 3, say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. I think I closed my eyes. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. And I know you would never do this, but you definitely couldn't take inappropriate pictures because your friend that goes to church with you, she works at Walmart and she develops the film. And you go to pick up your fish, she said, I can't believe you, Sally. Don't worry, I'm going to tell the pastor, right? But times have changed, and if students can change, we can change. Today I want to talk to you about something that I believe is the most important factor in being the best educator that you can become. The most important factor in being the best educator you can become, and that is taking care of you. I think a lot of teachers do a great job of taking care of everyone else, but we don't do a great job of taking care of ourselves. Many of us have forgiven our spouse, our partner. Many of us have forgiven our father, our mother. Many of us have forgiven our sibling, our friend, our boss, but we haven't forgiven the person we see in the mirror every day. We're the hardest on that person. We treat that person the worst. This morning, a few people told me that they liked my sports coat, my jacket. They said, oh, I like your jacket. Someone said, I like your outfit. Someone said, I like your suit. I appreciated that. When I receive a compliment, I say, thank you. When's the last time you told yourself that you like something about yourself? When's the last time you said something nice to yourself? I was happy they said that to me this morning, but I said it to myself this morning. When I got up this morning, I put this outfit on at the Home 2 Suites down the street. I said, you know what? This jacket fits so well, they can't even see my gut. I love this jacket. I put this shirt on and there's a stain right here and a stain right here. You can't see those stains. And I'm not going to point them out to you. When they said, I like your jacket, I didn't say, did you know that there's a lot of sweat under my arms because I just spoke somewhere? I didn't mention that. That's why I fist bumped you and didn't hug you because I didn't want you to smell how I smell. Many times, for whatever reason, we're so mean to ourselves. This morning, I want to remind you to be nice to you. I read several sweatshirts that said, kindness forever. That's a great saying. That's a great quote. That's a great thought. But shouldn't we be kind to ourselves as well? There's nothing wrong with being kind to other people. We should. But some of us are so mean to ourselves. I want to encourage you to love on you. Pardon me for saying this, you English majors, but I love me some me. Now, I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm not Denzel Washington. I'm not Idris Elba. I'm not Michael B. Jordan. I don't look like those guys. I look like my dad. That's my problem. It's not my fault. But I'm just not going to degrade myself over and over. I mess up all the time. And I figured out the reason I mess up. At first, I was kind of shocked. But I realized I'm human. And that's what humans do. I had a superintendent once that was upset with me because I wasn't as upset as she was that we had to get rid of a teacher. The teacher had made a horrible mistake, and I was going to be the one, because she was in my building, to have to let her go. And I wasn't upset about it. I was upset what happened, but the superintendent was irate. And she said, I just don't understand why you're not as upset as I am. I said, because it's not 9 o'clock in the morning yet, and this is not going to ruin my day. I'm not going to let it ruin my day. This woman made a bad mistake. I'm sorry she did it. It's going to be very tough to let her go, but it's not going to ruin my day. I refuse to let someone take my peace away, take my joy away. But it happens in education all the time. And so we pretend. We pretend that everything is going well. We mask it, and we don't deal with what's most important. And what's most important is that we take care of ourselves. When I was in elementary school, I had a teacher named Miss Jones in kindergarten. She was 437 years old when I had her. And I love Miss Jones. She was so amazing. I didn't do all my shapes well. I was good at the circle, the triangle, the circle, the rectangle, and the square, but I couldn't make those 3 sides on a triangle equal. The same length. She would help me every day. And she would lie to me all the time. You're so smart. And I know she had her fingers crossed. There was no evidence to back up this statement. She would say, you're so smart and you're so handsome. I think I'm handsome to this day because of her lie. I'm walking around. I know I look good. How do you know? The 900-year-old lady told me I look good. Your words are powerful. The most powerful words ever spoken are what my teacher said. When a teacher says it, it means something. Whatever you say to a student, they believe it. Like, you're the authority. My daughter was doing a project in middle school, and I paid for the ink that she used to print out all these pictures. I paid for the internet, right? I paid the mortgage. Me and mom both have a master's degree in education. We're helping with this project. And everything we say, she says, that's not right. That's not right. I said, tell you should do it this way. Nah, that's not how you do it. Nah, that's not right. And finally, mom says, well, how come everything we say is wrong? Because my teacher said, but my teacher said. I said, if this teacher is so great and she's such a big influence in your life, why don't she help us pay for these braces? How about that? She can Venmo me. I'll take any form of payment she has. But it's something about the words of a teacher. I want you to realize your impact. What hinders your impact is when we don't take care of ourselves. I can prove your impact. I can prove it. How many of you have been in public and you saw one of your students and your students lost their mind? Raise your hand. Every one of us, right? All right. Now, Kels, I want to say this. They can't admit this in front of you. Or they can't admit this in front of any administrator. But the truth is, when some of them see their students in the store, they turn around and walk out. I mean, they're with their husband, they're getting stuff for a barbecue. We need to get hamburger meat, we need to get a hot dog, potato chip. Oh, there's Sherman. Never mind. Turn around. Come on. No, come. Get out of the store. I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to leave you. Your husband like, I'm not afraid of Sherman. Who's Sherman? You better be afraid of Sherman. Sherman is a 4th grade Tasmanian devil that I've been telling you about. Remember that night you said I punched you in the face while you were sleeping? I was dreaming about Sherman. We need to leave. We can eat cereal at the barbecue. It'll be okay. But you're walking in the store and you see this boy. You don't want to see this boy. You read your contract. It does not say you have to be nice on Saturday. And you're going to the store to make a purchase. Now, you don't have a problem, but you're going to buy some liquid confidence. Why? Because you're an adult and you're thirsty. Some of you, how y'all walked in, I want to smell those coffee cups you have. Some of y'all came in double fisting. Why you got 2 drinks in the morning? Oh, this is water and this is coffee. Sure. And so this is what I realized. They see you as superheroes. They don't see you as a regular person. Here's the problem with being a superhero. A superhero is not real. You're real. A superhero gets 40 takes to do the same stunt. You don't. If we categorize teachers as superheroes, we're saying that teachers aren't human. That means teachers don't feel pain. Teachers don't hurt. Teachers don't have issues. That means teachers always win the day. That means there's always a happy ending. And that's not the truth. I was at a school district once and I made a mistake. I was a young teacher and I forgot what I did, but they were very upset with me. The administration, well, I can't believe you did this, and blah, 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 and they were going off, and I was just sitting there, kind of stone-faced. They said, you look like this doesn't bother you. I said, no, I'm wrong, and I apologize, but you all are looking at me like I'm not human. They said, what do you mean? I said, there are 180 days in this school year. I'm going to make another mistake. Y'all are shocked that I made a mistake. There are 180 days. Humans make mistakes. And if you say you don't make mistakes, you're lying and you're pretending to be something you're not. I have embraced being human. Now, I don't want to make this mistake again. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm remorseful and I want to get better, but I'm not shocked I made a mistake. What happens as teachers, we think we're supposed to do everything perfect all the time. You get home, you got to be the perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect partner. Some of you, when you get home, you don't even go in the house. You just sit in the car for a few minutes. Because if you go right in, you may slap everybody in there. Hey, mom. Hey, mom. Hey, honey. Then here comes the dog. Right? You need to sit in the car just to decompress. And when you walk in, your family says, on Life 360, honey, it says you've been in the driveway for 30 minutes. Yeah, mom, 30 minutes. You can't trust that thing, guys. You know how the internet and the towers work with this crazy weather. Because you have to be a superhero everywhere you go. You get home, your husband says, what's for dinner? Like you hadn't worked 8 hours today. And so you look at him. I was wondering the same thing, honey. So you didn't get anything to eat? No, I got me something to eat. You look hungry. You should have got you something to eat. I want you to know that the way life works is forever changing. We have to take care of ourselves in this forever changing world. Now, some of you had an amazing spring break. You went out and had a good time. Some of you zip lined. Some of you went to visit family and friends. Some of you lied to your family and told them you don't get spring break this year. No, mom, they got these new rules, mom. No spring break. Yeah, I'm just grading papers, mom. I love you too. Don't call me this week. They said no calls either. They said no calls. Some of you just sat home all week and watched the Hallmark Channel the whole week. You just sat there, ate Cheetos. You're mad you had to put makeup on today. You're like, man, we got to go back. But when you watch Hallmark Channel, it's the same thing over and over again. You still watch it. You know what's going to happen. There's a girl from a little small town. She moved to the big city, started dating Craig. She comes home for the Possum Festival. And she's on the Possum Festival Parade Committee. And her ex-boyfriend, Cliff, he's the chairman of the committee. And her mom says, you know, Cliff's the chairman of the committee. Maybe you guys should get back together. No, Mom, I'm with Craig in the big city. And her mom says, I thought y'all were arguing. I thought y'all were going to break up. We're back together now, Mom. That was 2 weeks ago. And so she doesn't want to get back with Cliff. But her mom says, you know, Cliff got a new job. We got a promotion. Where, Mom? He's the new manager of the Dollar General. The one they just built on Highway 29. He's over the whole store. But you're too cool for that. So you're picking up a box one day, getting ready for the parade, and you're walking backwards, and you bump high knees with Cliff. And you turn around, and you guys look in each other's eyes, and you remember all the days you were in your dad's Ford Ranger, and you were driving around town, putting 2,000 miles on a car one weekend and never leaving town. And you're reminded of how great things were. And I hate to spoil it for you, but they're going to try to kiss 3 times in the movie. It's going to be like double dutch, like this. And someone's going to always interrupt them. And you're watching this like you don't know what's going to happen next. Be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. We know what's going to happen next. She's going to leave the big city, guys. She's going to end up with Cliff. They're going to make out at the end. It's going to be a big make-out scene. And then Hallmark is going to roll the credits and show the exact same movie again with different actors from Full House. Right? So we watch the Hallmark Channel knowing what's going to happen next. And so there's not a lot of anxiety, but it's still enjoyable. In your life, there is not a rerun. No matter how many years you've been teaching, it's something different, a different tragedy, something that causes you to have depression or anxiety. If we were honest, some of us slept all weekend because we just been going through so much that we just needed a break. This morning, we're going to talk about the importance of taking care of yourself. It's really important. He told you a little bit about me. I think the most important thing to realize is they didn't bring a speaker guy in. They brought one of you in, an educator. I've sat in those same seats, upset. No one's excited about PD. No one's like, man, we get professional development. Whoa! Someone's going to read off of a slide for 1 hour. This is awesome. You're thinking, could you email us the slides? We can read. Like, what are we doing? And so I want to make sure this is like an informational pep rally, right? We don't want it to be boring. When I first started speaking, I would be so serious and so stoic, wanting to prove how smart I was. And my cameraman said, when he said, this is exactly why I don't want to be a teacher. He said, y'all meetings suck, right? And so one day I was in Georgia and this lady kept sneezing during my presentation. I said, are you allergic to speakers? Right? And the crowd laughed, and we said, you know what? We might can add a little humor in the presentation so it's not so boring. So the goal today is to try to give you some principles and strategies to help you do a better job of taking care of yourself, but not do it in a boring way. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing this great profession. Thank you for being a teacher. It's not easy. You don't get paid what you should get paid. You don't get the appreciation that you should get. And a lot of times you don't have the support that you should have. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing this great profession. If you would, please look at your neighbor and say, you matter. Now look at the neighbor who obviously doesn't matter and say, you matter too. Like not as much as she does, but you matter-ish. You kind of matter. I want you to know that you can love your students and also feel like teaching is draining the life out of you. It doesn't make you a bad person. I had this happen to me. I was thinking, like, I love these little, we'll call them students. I love them, but sometimes I feel like this job is draining the life out of me. I had a kid, Johnny. I said, hey, Johnny, I need you to be quiet, man, while I'm talking. Be quiet. He kept talking. I said, Johnny, I'm for real, man. Be quiet. He kept talking. And I wanted to choke him. But they had just put cameras in our classroom. But I had figured out the dead spots. I said, come here, Johnny. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Over here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Back up a little bit for me, buddy. All right. I said, hey, man, shut your mouth, man. I'm serious. I haven't always been a teacher, man. For real, be quiet. He said, I don't have to be quiet. I said, I'm going to call your mom. I don't care. Call my mom. I said, do you remember Sarah? Do you remember Sarah? He said, I don't know who Sarah. I don't remember Sarah. I said, no one does. Then we walked back. When I got in front of the camera, I said, it's such a joy to be able to teach you, Johnny. Have a seat and remember Sarah. It happens. You can't admit it, but some of these jokers, they take you there. You think to yourself, how many days could they give me if I just accidentally bumped into them and knocked them down? You have some mean girls that don't realize you were the meanest girl in your whole school. They don't know who they're dealing with. Like your sisters are scared of you. They don't understand this. I want to remind you that you can love your students and also feel like teaching is draining the life out of you. Sometimes we get burnt out. We get frustrated. We feel like that we're not making a difference. We have a lack of fulfillment. We're overwhelmed. We feel drained. We have problems sleeping. We haven't taken care of ourselves. We're less social than we used to be. And everything that happens, we complain about it. We have difficulty finding a silver lining in the profession. This can happen, especially if you've been in the profession for a while. I want you to know it's natural. I want you to know you're human. I don't want you to feel bad that some days you don't want to come in. I don't want you to feel bad if you don't have it all together all the time. I want to encourage you to be real with yourself, to be honest with yourself, to admit that social emotional learning is not just for students, it's also for educators. Because teacher burnout is real. Teachers get burned out. Teachers have to be on all the time. You have to be your best every single day. You can't have a bad day. You can't make a mistake. What you're doing is more important than brain surgery because you're operating on the brains of our future every single day. And I want to tell you, you're doing a great job. But I don't want you to burn out. Every cell phone that you have in your pocket right now had to be plugged in the last 24 to 48 hours or it wouldn't work correctly. If you don't plug into something, you're gonna die as well. I'm not talking about a physical death, but the excitement, the love, the passion that you need to be the best version of yourself, it's not going to be there. Because some of us, like a cell phone, we're at 8% right now. We're at 7%. Now, hopefully after spring break, you've recharged, you come back at 100%. We want you to be in that 90 to 100% rate. We want you to plug up. And you plug that cell phone up every day. Many of you plug it up multiple times a day so it can do all the great things it's designed to do. Cell phones have all these great apps that help us enjoy life. We get the most out of life because of these devices. Steve Jobs did us a great service, made us a little lazy independent, made our memory lack a little bit, but the cell phone really helps us. I use that illustration to remind you that you have so many great abilities, like all the apps on your phone, but they don't work to full capacity if you're not plugged in. If you're always being used and always being drained and always being punched at and poked at and prodded, then you can't be the very best version of yourself. I used to rate tables at a place called Po-Folks, Panama City, Florida. Po-Folks, there's not very many of them left. Matter of fact, I was on a plane the other day with the owner of Po-Folks, Peter Salstein, great guy. But when I used to wait tables, I knew one thing had to go well. I knew that the person sitting in the restaurant wanted their glass to be full. That's it. I could mess up the order, I could do something wrong. But if they had an empty glass, an empty cup, I was not gonna get a good tip. And I wanted a good tip. So I would walk around my tea pitcher, and when it would get half full, I would run over there. How you guys doing? Good to see. How you guys doing? Okay, good. Give you some more. That way I would get a good tip. I want to ask you, who's pouring into your cup? Because you can't pour out of an empty pitcher. But many of us are pouring out all the time. We're pouring into kids' lives. Many of us are pouring into the lives of the people in our household. We're pouring into our families' lives. But who's pouring into us? In this picture right here, you see a tea pitcher with 4 empty cups or glasses. The pitcher represents you. Those glasses represent your students. Well, we need you to do what you've been doing this whole time. Fill them up. In the perfect world, you will be full and they will be full. In the perfect world. You would fill them up and someone would fill you up. Because when I was waiting tables, even if I did this motion, if there wasn't anything in the pitcher, then I could not pour anything into the customer's glass, or in this illustration, into the students. Many of us are just going through the motions because we're empty. We put on a good front, our Facebook page look like we're having a great life, but the truth is things are not good. And society has taught us to not be honest. If you have a physical ailment, you can be honest. If you have plantar fasciitis, no one will make fun of you. Well, they may make fun of you behind your back, but not in your face. If someone walked in here with a boot, or they were on a walker or a cane, what would happen is we would say, are you okay? Can I help you? When I was in elementary school, 1983, so for you Gen Z, I know y'all looking like, how is he still alive? Right? I had Miss Jones in 1983, long time ago. Now, I'm not making fun of you young people, but we had no internet. Like it didn't exist. There was no Wi-Fi. Could you imagine life without a Wi-Fi? The phones had cords on them. It's a different time, right? And so Miss Jones was the best. So I saw Miss Jones years later. I'm an administrator. I have a suit on, have a radio, I have a badge. I'm the man. I've been walking around school. Hey, young man, keep your hands to yourself. Be quiet. Put that back, young man. Like, I'm the man. I'm the alpha male. I'm an administrator. Well, I had to run to Walmart. And when I get in Walmart, it's a true story, I see Miss Jones. Now, again, I told you Miss Jones is 900 years old when I had her. I'm like, this is Benjamin Buttons. So my middle name is David. Miss Jones always calls me David. Miss Jones said, hi, David. I went from the alpha male to, hi, Miss Jones. When you have a great teacher, their presence changes your posture. You change you around them. Miss Jones said, how's your family? I said, my family's doing good. My family's doing well, Miss Jones. And then she asked me the worst question she could ask me. What do you remember from my class? When I was in her class, the year started with the 1. Now the year starts with the 2. It's been a few years. I want to say, Miss Jones, I didn't think you would be alive. I didn't say that. I did not. I was raised right. I thought it, but I didn't say it. She had a walker. She said, David, what do you remember from my class? I said, what did I remember? I said, brown bear, what do you see? I see a yellow bird looking at me. Inside out, she said, very good, David. Inside out like this. Ah! Let's go, baby. On the outside, I said, thank you, Miss Jones. And I was just staring at her. It was kind of an awkward silence. She says, what do you need? I said, where's the treasure box? Like, y'all don't bring it with y'all when y'all go out? I can come out of the house. I get an army man. I get a medal, something. I got that question right. I wanted a reward. But Miss Jones poured into my life. When I saw Miss Jones with that walker, I didn't look down on her. I didn't think that she was weird or she was soft. But if she had a mental illness, I wonder how it would have felt. When you walk into school with a walker or a cane, or you have you're in a cast, your colleagues will look at you and say, are you okay? But imagine if they ask you, how was your weekend? And you said, it was horrible. You said, I've been struggling with anxiety and depression, and I just don't know anymore. Like, what if we were really honest? What if they said, how was your weekend? You say, well, I tried to kill my husband. They say, what? Say, yeah, I just can't take it anymore. So in the middle of the night, I'd put a pillow over his face, and I would just had it on his face. But we got these pillows from the Dollar Tree, so they was kind of flimsy. And I was, and he woke up. And I was like, uh-oh. He thought I was being kinky. So I had to play it off like, yeah, role play. So next weekend, I'm going to buy some better pillows. How was your week? You can't say that. They're going to report you to HR. That joke may get me reported to HR. Right? So we live in a world where you can't be real. We live in a world where you can't say, my husband and my children got on my nerves this weekend. I looked at my son and I thought, we should have got a dog. You can't say that. You can't admit that you're going through something. We have to always pretend. And what happens when we pour from an empty pitcher, our children, our students don't get the very best version of ourselves. So I want to make sure you don't end up like this. I don't want you to be empty. I want you to realize that there's a difference between empty and being full. And I'm just asking you, rhetorical question, what's filling you up? Like, who's pouring into you? Who's adding value to your life? Who's giving you what you need? Brene Brown said we should talk to ourselves like we talk to someone we love. Brene Brown said we should talk to ourselves the way we would talk to someone that we love. Many of us talk to plants better than we talk to ourselves. We talk to dogs. Hey, come here, Boomer, come here. And said, mommy loves you, mommy loves you. He stinks and just peed in the house. But because you're giving him all these positive affirmations, his tail is wagging. He's thinking, man, this is a great life. No matter what I do, she still loves me. Do you feel the same way about yourself? Do you talk positively to yourself? Do you love you? I want to encourage you to fall in love with you all over again. In any marriage relationship, they'll tell you, if you've been married for any amount of time, you have to keep dating and do the things that you did to get your spouse. You have to continue doing those things. We grow up in society and no one teaches us these things. We're just supposed to figure it out. Today, I want to remind you that you're in charge of the most important people we have, our children. And we give them to you because we trust you. And we want you to be the best version of you so you can be the best version for them. If I told you on your 16th birthday, I'm going to give you a vehicle, free of charge. You don't have to pay anything at all. Most of us would take that vehicle. But what if I told you it's the only vehicle that you get for your entire life? You never, ever will have another vehicle. Many of you would say, oh, that's different. But you would take good care of that vehicle. You would get the oil change on time. You would get a checkup, a tune-up. You would get the tires rotated. You pick up your daughter from ball practice and she's sweating, she's filthy, she's been sliding in the mud, and she tries to get in. You say, you can't get in here. I had to have this truck for my whole life. Well, Mom, how am I going to get home? Just walk. You're an athlete, aren't you? You're a great athlete. Yes, you are, baby. I believe in you. Mom, it's 5 miles, baby. Don't exaggerate. It's 4.6 miles. But you wouldn't let her little dirty behind in your car because you got to have this car for your entire life. Well, you only have one body to last you your entire life. You only have one mind to last you your entire life. You only have one spirit to last you your entire life. I don't allow people to steal my joy. I don't allow people to steal my peace. I hang up on relatives. I block people that I've known for years. If you come to me with negative communication, you're blocked. I don't care who you are. I just can't afford it. I don't know how many days I have left on the earth. So I can't have a bad day. I can have a bad moment. Now, if someone dies, of course, that's a bad day, right? If I lose my job, that's a bad day, of course, right? If there's a tragedy in Panama City where I live, we had a horrible hurricane. Well, that's a bad few days. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about in my everyday life, when there's no major tragedy, I'm not going to allow you to steal my joy. I'm not going to allow you to steal my peace. I'm going to talk to myself like I would talk to someone that I love. I'm going to do that because I realize I only have one body, one mind, and one spirit. I'm going to do a good job of taking care of me. I fly often. When I'm on a plane, they always start off with a horrible statement. If the plane goes down, wait a minute, why would we, like if we were dating someone, they say, I want to go ahead and say this. If I slash your tires, that's a red flag. So when I'm on a plane, they say, in case the plane goes down, we're going to drop these masks from the ceiling. They don't tell you the truth. If the plane goes down, you're probably going to die. But while you're about to die, we're going to make you feel good with these little contraptions that come from the ceiling. And that little seatbelt is going to keep you alive. That's not true. So they say if there's a problem with the air, we're going to have an oxygen mask drop from the sky. And they tell you, but before you put the mask over your own face, you need to realize that that's most important, even if there's a child near. So I'm thinking to myself, so you're telling me I should take care of myself before I take care of a little child, an infant? That sounds selfish to me. But what they figured out is I can't take care of a child if I don't take care of me. I'm no good to a child if I'm not good to me first. I want to encourage you to take care of you so you can take care of our children. For many of you, it seems like turbulence happens all the time on a job, right? You're working, everything was smooth, and turbulence. I came back from spring break once, and this woman had stole my chair. Now, if she was a grown man, we would have boxed. But she was an old lady, so I was scared she was going to beat me up, so I didn't box her. But no, seriously, I had a brand new chair from Office Depot. I bought it with the school money. It was like a massager. Like I would go in there, my planning period in my room, turn the lights out, and just, it was amazing. Me and that chair kind of dated for a while. So I get back from spring break, and they had waxed the floors, and I think the custodians had got our chairs mixed up. So I walk over, I said, hey, Miss Johnson, how was your break? Oh, it was good. I said, Miss Johnson, I think our chairs got mixed up. Now, her chair was horrible. They had been peeling. You don't know if it was black or brown. It was bad. Some kid had passed gas in, and the odor was still there. It was bad. So I said, Miss Johnson, I think you have my chair. Now, Miss Johnson was very religious. She went to church and stuff, and I think that's great. And she said, no, I think I was blessed with this chair. So my first thought was, oh, so you believe in God? Well, good, because you about to meet him. Y'all about to have a face-to-face, y'all about to have a face-to-face encounter. But it wasn't the right thing to do. But things happen, some turbulence on your job. I want to encourage you to make sure you put that mask over your face so you can do the best job with our children. Give yourself a grade. You all are teachers. Give yourself a grade in these areas. A, B, C, D, or F. Just give yourself a quick grade. I don't know about you, but I can improve in every one of these areas. I can do better. It's very hypocritical of us to ask our students to change, but we're not willing to change. Our students are used to hitting, but when they come to our classroom, hitting is not allowed, so we ask them to change. Our students are used to getting their way because they come from this entitled household where their mom hasn't learned the word no, so when they get to us, we're the bad guy. We're asking them to change. So we're going to ask them to change. Shouldn't we be willing to change as well? We need guidelines, principles to help us with mental health. I was in a teacher's workroom one day, and I said to a lady, Ms. Robinson, I said, Ms. Robinson, you never read my emails on the weekend. She said, Mr. Spears, I have a life. I didn't know if that was a sexually transmitted disease. I didn't know what she was talking about. You got a who? I'm sorry, you got a life. I can get you to the nurse. She said, I have a life. I needed to hear that because I didn't have a life. That school was my life. My buddy told me every time he goes over the interstate, he sees my truck at the school. I thought he was bragging on me. He said, Spears, man, every time I pass by, man, your truck is always at that school. No matter what time of day it is, no matter what day of the week it is. I said, yeah, man, I'm putting that work in, baby. It takes what it takes. You know how it is. He said, you're always there. 5:30 in the morning. You're there 6, 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. You're there on the weekend. I said, yeah, man, it takes what it takes. You know how it is. He said, I thought you just didn't like your family. I said, what you mean? He said, because you're obviously never at home if you're always at the school. That was convicting because he was right. I want you to know that when you retire, they're going to have a celebration for you. But it's not going to be like you think it is. It's going to be in an auditorium like this. It's going to be at the end of the year where people are ready to go. They're going to have their keys. They're ready to turn them in. They're going to have their badge. They're ready to turn it in. And you're going to be at the bottom of the agenda. They're going to have someone that doesn't even know you to tell everyone how great you were. They're going to say, before we all leave, we want to recognize Debbie. And you're going to be in the front row. And you're going to say, it's Dorothy. Shh, be quiet. Debbie has been with us for 28 years. It's 38 years. Ma'am, could you be quiet, please? And we want to recognize Debbie for all her years of service. So Debbie, you're going to come up. Y'all going to clap. Y'all really ready to go, though. You're going to clap. And they're going to give Debbie this cake they got from Walmart with her name spelled wrong because it's not her name. And they're going to give her 2 gift cards. One for Chick-fil-A and one for Starbucks. And that's it. They're going to take a picture, put it on Facebook. And then they're going to whisper to her, could you please give your keys to Virginia? She's in the back. She asked that you get your stuff out of her class, please. Your job was posted before you even finished the school year. I want to encourage you to take care of you because you have to live with you for the rest of your life. We don't have time to go through all of this, but when it comes to social and emotional learning, it's self-management, self-awareness, responsibility, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and relationship skills. SEL, or social emotional learning, is not just for students. We don't have time to go through these definitions, but you need help when you have conflict. This picture is conflict. If you don't take care of yourself, whatever you have going on in your personal life is going to boil over when you and the administrator see the same thing, but see something different. When you and a student see the same thing, but see something different. When you and a parent see the same exact thing, but see something different. Building relationships happens when we build a good relationship with ourselves. We have to first take care of ourselves. So, if we had time, we'll talk about stronger relationships with students, colleagues, and parents. Empathy development happens when you do SEL. Educators better understand student and colleague emotions, leading to stronger relationships. This job is about relationships. Now, you're lucky because elementary students do like coming to school. They do. That's going to stop about 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. In this 9th grade, they're going to pray for more spring break, right? But the relationship is the most important factor. What I found is the place where I lacked the most was at home. I tell you this because it says greater work-life balance and career longevity happens if we take care of ourselves. Work-life integration, teachers learn self-care strategies and boundary setting, as we talked about earlier. But I was winning at school. I was teacher of the year several times. You can Google my name and Google teacher of the year, and several different ceremonies will come up. I've been coach of the year several times. But I wonder if I've ever been husband of the year. I wonder if I've ever been father of the year. I was winning in a place where it didn't matter as much as it matters at home. You're replaceable at school. You're not replaceable at home. You have to take care of yourself because the people in your house, unfortunately, they get the rest of you. School often gets the best of you, and home gets the rest of you. If we ask your spouse, your partner, we ask your children to give you a grade on a scale of 1 to 10, what would they say? Well, they say, we know mom means well, but she's so busy. We would say, we know mom has a lot going on. It would be embarrassing for your students to say she's amazing, but your kids to say she used to be amazing. I want to encourage you to work harder on your obituary than you do your resume. What I mean by that, your obituary is going to be the last document written about you. It's going to say survived by. And it's going to list the people in your household. It's going to list the people in the building that you came from this morning to get here. It's not going to list the people in the building that you work in. We're replaceable at school. We're not replaceable at home. I want to encourage you to win at home. That starts with taking care of yourself. In our last few minutes, I want to let you know that you're the best. Like, teachers are actually the best thing that we have. It's proven by how people respond to you. It's proven by the impact your teachers have made in your life. BEST as an acronym describes you. You believe in every student, you encourage every student, you serve every student, and you touch every student. This is my best. You saying, oh, because you haven't been around them. This is the best thing I've ever done, by far. I was on a podcast and this guy asked me, what's the best thing you've ever done, Willie? And he started listing all these things. I said, no, the best thing I've ever done is Taylor and Kenneth, by far. You can't tell from this picture, but Taylor, our daughter, is type 1 diabetic. She has juvenile diabetes. You can't tell in this picture, but our son, Kenneth, he has Crohn's disease. Every single day, I give them to you. You're not a medical professional. Why would I give my sick babies to you? Why would I give my best to you? You must be the best. The fact that parents trust you with their best proves that you're the best. And it reminds us that we have to take care of ourselves if we're in charge of taking care of someone's best. If I lost my cell phone and I asked you, could I borrow your cell phone for a few days until I get another one, you would say no. If I told you my rental car has a flat tire, can I just borrow yours just for a few days and maybe you can get another car, go pick your car from the airport, you would say, I will help you find a ride, but I can't let you borrow my car. So you wouldn't let me borrow your cell phone and you wouldn't let me borrow your vehicle, but I let you borrow my best every single day. Either something is wrong with me or you're the best. You've had many cell phones. You've had many vehicles. Because your cell phone and your vehicle are replaceable, but my children are not. I want you to know that you're doing an amazing job. But if there's one area that we all can improve on, that's our social, emotional health. That's taking care of ourselves. That's protecting our peace. That's falling in love with ourselves again. That's speaking to ourselves like we would speak to someone that we love. I need you to do that because I'm sending you my best. They spend more time with you than they do with us. Now, I'm gonna be honest. When we had her, oh, it was a joyous occasion. We were so happy. And then we had him. You ever heard the term buyer's remorse? Every time I look at him, I say, man, we should have got a German Shepherd. His problem is he's just like me. I love him, but he's something else. I want to thank you for being the best. Every single day, you show us your very best effort. I want to encourage you to do that for yourself. Give yourself the same courtesy you give us. Fall in love with you again. Thank y'all so much, guys. Have a great rest of the year.
All right. I don't want to say anything over the top of that. I really don't. I want you to know that you have until 11:30 to get to your next session. I want you to know that in your third session, you will have an opportunity to sign in, sign out, and I want you to do your best to be your best. Thank you, really, thank you.